functioning. Don't feel it in the market, flooded from the darknet, flooded from the deep web. Keep it a secret. Every exchange got the nerdy brains trading on the frequent.
Okay, so as I get my crazy hair in check, let's get checking here. Just getting some setup. Give me one moment because even though it seems like my crazy hair is the most pressing issue right now, I just have to correct something in the coding of the white void that I currently live in. Doing a quick code fix, that's all. There we go. Quick patch. Alright, so as we finally get set up here, just going to check some of the microphones. Perfect. Still have great sound. It's always good to have mostly quiet area, great sound, and everything. Hi, everyone out there, all on the live streaming interwebs. This is, well, let's do the whole spiel anyhow. My name, I literally, it's never a normal day before I live stream, is it? I have to just get used to that. Ever since we started live streaming in May, no, sorry, not May, literally in March of 2020 when everything started shutting down, we've never had a normal live stream. I mean, we're obviously a really bizarre group, so of course we're going to have a really bizarre live stream. But regardless of that, let's get into today's episode because there's already been enough time here. People refer to me on the interwebs as Sidepocket. I'm one of the two co-founders of a DEF CON group called DCG 201, formerly known as DEF CON 201 or DC 201. We are one of the many DEF CON groups located across the United States, around the world. In fact, the 201 stands for our area code, which is New Jersey. And we were supposed to have a meetup this month, but my scheduling went crazy. So I'm going to be dead honest. What we're probably going to end up doing is something we haven't done in April, in which the awesome folks at 212, which is our neighbors in New York City, are having a meetup, having a public gathering that's close to the PATH train. And so we're probably going to make a blog post to defer to everyone there. And I'm just going to skip all the way to the event in August that I've been planning, sorry, the event in October that I've been planning in August. So that's what we're probably going to end up there. If you do want to know more about us and, you know, what being a hacker group is and being part of DEF CON community and stuff, I just posted a link to our blog and chat at defcon201.medium.com. Has most of our information there. We, you know, we're still doing the stuff with the, for some reason it didn't send on one end. Let's try that again. There we go. You know, we're still doing the website stuff. That's going to be a whole kit and caboodle. I'm actually going to be working on that specifically this week leading into October 1st. So that's going to be a whole thing right there. And if you want to follow us on social media, some of you probably have founded us through such as our really popular Twitter at DEFCON201NJ or on Instagram at DEFCON201. But we're on all sorts of things. We're on GitHub, which is we're going to take a quick look at today. We're on the hostux.mastodon, the hostux.social instance of Mastodon. We're on all sorts of different things. And I just posted our link tree, which is linktr.ee/defcon201 that has all of our social media there. Don't worry, the spiel's almost over with. If you haven't noticed, because we're going to be doing this until at least the end of October, all of our live streams, we will be raising funds for the National Abortion Federation, which is an organization that in terms of legal teams and boots on the ground, normally fights. I know they have the term abortion in their title, but they actually fight for all sorts of reproductive and sexual stuff such as consent and contraceptives and all sorts of things. And both legally and boots on the ground, they are currently rebelling against the whole terrible SCOTUS decision that not only impacts all sorts of people, especially hackers with uteruses and their family, friends, and spouses, but they also rolled back a huge privacy stipulation for all American citizens, regardless of their gender or sexuality in the United States. There's like now the Patriot Act, the act that we all hate from the Bush days, is even more expanded because of that ruling. And of course, any sort of invasion of privacy, especially when it's on the internet, is something that we're always against. So besides the ethical stuff with that, there's also just the whole legal stuff of like, wow, you really want to expand Google's reach there, huh? There's multiple ways if you're interested in donating. I'm going to be reminding throughout most of the stream. If you are on Twitch, you can scroll down and we have a little widget through Tiltify, which is the program that we use. They're a reputable organization. That way we don't touch or handle the money. And to note that even though we set a goal of $400 by the end of October, any of the money currently donated, all the money that's been donated by the time when November 1st hits, will all be donated even if we don't reach our goal or if we exceed our goal. It's all going to go to a good place. So you can either go to that widget if you're on Twitch. You can donate without moving. I promise you that QR code, if you decide to scan it, is not a man-in-the-middle QR code attack. That's the actual official Tiltify QR code. You can use a burner phone on it if you're a little skeptical. And if you're on any of the other live streaming services, and for some reason that didn't copy over, because here's something I've learned: when you do a hacker live stream or anything that you label a hacker live stream, none of the technology works, because basically the demo gods are like challenge accepted, and they try little sorts of crazy things to make your day just that much not great. But I just posted the charity link that goes directly to the donation page. I'll be reminding that throughout the stream as well as future streams. If you do donate, it'll be very similar, except even more so if you follow the same reaction we will get if you follow us on Twitch, Live, or YouTube. We will get a notification, and we'll cheer you on, and we cheer you on way more and basically worship you the entire stream, even if you donate $1 towards the charity drive. So just pointing that out there. Also, hi to everyone on Twitch, Live, and YouTube, as well as we are on Diode Zone, which is an awesome instance of PeerTube. They're awesome. We're so glad they exist for technological stuff that doesn't have to be censored, but not in a U.S. libertarian type way. However, I do want to point out that one of the streams we are on are Facebook, and because we have to go where the people are, and Facebook doesn't really like anything. It likes to be its own little, as the internet's called, special little snowflake, and so it just hates any API that is not Facebook. So if you're on Facebook and you do want to chat with us, I just posted the link where you can go and chat with us. Finally, before we get into today's episode, I would like to let everyone know that I do like a lively chat. If you have, I will answer any questions and communicate as long as it's not an obvious boring troll. If you have any questions about why am I wearing a polka dot shirt during a Tezos episode, why do I have crazy hair, why wasn't I yet on time today, which I will get into in a moment. Long story short, had a crazy work day and a crazy commute. That's it. I thought the commute, I could have made it on time even if I was late, but the work I did earlier, oh boy, you talk about being understaffed and under budget. So if you have any questions or you just want to talk about cryptocurrency, blockchain, tech programming, hacking, whatever, I will definitely respond to in chat. You can also talk about amongst yourselves. However, I know what it's like. I love a lot certain Twitches and YouTubes where I just watch stuff and I don't say anything. So if you are what's called a lurker and you just want to watch to learn about the subject today, or you want to watch me pull my hair out trying to run code live, because that's a great idea. Again, the demo gods, as I always say on the show, keep lurking, keep learning. So with all of that out of the way, let's get into the meat and potatoes of what today's episode is going to be. So I've actually planned this for like about a month and a half now. There is a extremely interesting blockchain that I found. I randomly found it. I was literally just searching like blockchain, like news. There's more development on the Ethereum stuff, which we will get to in a bit. We're going to do a little shout out to the other big news that could have been an episode on itself, but I really wanted to focus on this. And I was like, what the hell is this Tezos? And then it started making claims about how it's structured, really bold claims that, I'm not the most elite hacksaw in the world. I obviously did not bust Uber because I'm not 18. I used to be. I'm not like some Uber elite, like anonymous mask, Guy Fawkes wearing mask person out there. But it said some things that with my sort of brain, I'm just sort of like challenge accepted. And so that's what we're going to test today. So we're going to be looking into a blockchain platform called Tezos, which I believe is how you pronounce it, and apologies if I mispronounced it at all during the stream. And we're going to see if the claims that it makes are as good as they say they are. I will also note that near in the beginning, I think what we're going to do is we're going to look at the big other news real quick, and then we're going to do an intro to what I've been able to find about Tezos. And then we're going to take a little short 30-second to 1-minute break just because I normally have some sort of fluids that I put into my body so that I don't die on stream. And I don't have that right now because, man, did I have an early work day, as then I tried to osmosis into the Haxor white void that you see before me. So I'm going to get water, essentially. It is water because I dehydrate a lot. And then we're going to look into like some of this, how Tezos is constructed, how it's built, and we're going to look at some code. Heck, we actually might be able to run some code on this stream or even connect to a test net. We're going to find that out. So let's go to the examination table mode, as we like to call it on here at TCG 201. And let's see, I just want to load up something here before. There we go. All right, so the first thing as we go into every episode here, and I don't want to look like reverse Kilroy. There we go. Tilt that camera up. All right, a little bit more. There we go. I'm a vain bitch. So as you can see over here, when you had clicked that, if you decide to click that Medium link for our blog, there it is. If you haven't noticed, it hasn't been updated in a while because I've literally been that busy, as well as everyone who's been helping me has been that busy. I am going to, between tonight and tomorrow morning, update on like what's the other meeting, since we're unable to structure one due to my scheduling, others, including our venues, for this month before it ends, and kind of a sneak peek into what there's going to be a big thing in October. That's going to be the one that you don't want to miss. I can't wait to do it. It's going to be so much fun. But this is kind of what our blog looks like. So when you get updates and everything, get there. By the way, just to note, if you do follow us, particularly on Twitch, DLive, and YouTube, if you can't remember the schedulings of the show, like for instance, on a normal time frame, which might change in the near future, Crypto Barons is normally the second and fourth Saturdays of the month. When you do follow us, in addition to the notification, us cheering you on, you also get notifications and updates on when we stream. So if I'm running late like I did again today, or we rescheduled something or whatever, you will get updates when you do follow us. So if you haven't followed us already, you can totally do that. Also, if you're on DLive, you can send us lemons because we get notifications for those, and I love passing lemons around, especially since the DLive community has shrunk a lot, but is now very dedicated community. I like browsing on there. So let's get into what we're going to do today. But the first thing that we have to talk about, because everyone's going to bring this up if I don't bring it up, I debated going back and forth of delaying and canceling this episode in order to talk about this news. The only reason why we're briefly touching up on here is, again, everyone kill me if I didn't bring this up. However, I didn't want to focus an entire episode on this because, to be honest, every cryptocurrency news source and their mother and their mother's mother and the Genesis block for their mother has been talking about this nonstop for the past 2 or 3 weeks. So that's between the episodes, this whole thing happened, but I want to just touch upon it so we can just breathe and get all this out, which is, yes, the Ethereum merge finally happened. What is it about? Here's a quick summary. So Ethereum, particularly what's now called Ethereum Classic, was one of the first blockchain platforms. Let's put this to dark mode. That hurts my eyes. Can we switch over? Dark mode, come on. There we go. Oh, I like that. Oh, and it gives you a little like ta-da. That's actually kind of clever. I like that. That's the pizzazz right there. Because Ethereum makes a lot of money, so they can put resources into their website. But what basically happened is that Ethereum was one of the first blockchain platforms and cryptocurrencies to develop shortly after Bitcoin fulfilled Satoshi's vision with their blockchain platform and white paper, basically turning some theories and math into direct reality. And at the time, Ethereum was, and kind of it's known today, where Ethereum, while the ether itself is worth a certain amount, I just realized I forgot something on the stream, but we'll get to that in a second. Well, it's worth a certain amount. What Ethereum is known for and what they've been building since they've launched is they want to be the go-to platform for the cryptocurrency and blockchain world, or what is kind of stupidly called the Web3 world, meaning they don't really care if Ether is the most valuable rivaling thing. They don't see value as the actual value in the cryptocurrency. They see value in how many people are building applications or dApps, decentralized apps on their chain, who is forking their chain to make their own stuff. And in fact, if you look at a lot of cryptocurrency stuff, a lot of cryptocurrency chains have their foundations forked from Ethereum, and also that because of that, Ethereum's in a lot of infrastructure, and basically Ethereum has like the shoe-in on the NFT market. If you, like we've talked about in previous episodes, if you've ever owned an NFT, it's probably based on the actual I think it's called we covered it before. I think it's the ETH20 token. That's like the like Old Testament Torah of all of NFTs. So whether you hate NFTs or you're still invested in them or you code them, that's where that comes from. And because it was one of the oldest blockchain platforms, it was still using the core Satoshi paper concept, which was proof of work. And we covered on our first episode about fucking blockchains, how do they work, about kind of the difference between what proof of work is, where the way Bitcoin still to this day operates is that it does a bunch when it does its mathematical. There's a term, I'm gonna clip that, mathematical. I think anytime there's a bullshit thing that comes up in coding or in the blockchain world or something or the metaverse, I'm gonna call it mathematical. That I think that's like that's definitely the math coding version of bullshot and secret squirrel shit. Mathemagical. Okay, I got that. We're gonna do the copyright for that. We're kidding. That DCG 201 doesn't believe in copyrights. The only copyright we care about is the name DEFCON because we got that from somewhere else. They lent that name to us. Everything else, we don't care. Use it as much as you want, but give credit. So when it generates its blocks and does the mathematical processing equation on the CPU or GPU to create that block, that is the proof of work. It's the proof of you did the work. You know, in school when you use the calculator and did all the things, and your teacher combined, she's like, "I don't want you to use the calculator. Show your work." It checks to see the proof of work that it makes sense, and that's how it keeps. That's how you mine. That's how you generate more coins for your rewards for making blocks. The problem with proof of work, as we went over in the episode, is that it is extremely CPU and GPU intensive. So there's multiple different problems all over the place. You've probably heard of before. One is the environment. By having huge demand like Bitcoin, you're now having people buy a crap ton of CPUs and GPUs, high-powered ones, and just running them all the time, 24/7. The electricity bill for Bitcoin alone eclipses a lot of countries' entire energy bills and spending and platforms. So yeah, that's a big problem on the environment. You're also buying a lot of GPUs and CPUs that could be used for, medical devices and video game machines and other forms of computing that for a while were inaccessible and unavailable because these assholes were buying it trying to get rich. And I realized I should zoom in just a little bit more, just a little bit more. There we go. Also, I need to kill this window. There we go. And so an alternative, so there's that. There's just a bunch of different things. It's slow. If you use Bitcoin, you know that sometimes it takes 7 minutes to 7 years for something to generate. So for a while, a lot of newer cryptocurrencies that came after the big 5 or 7 started to use a concept called proof of stake, where instead of using hardcore computational math, and there's been other ways to minimize it, like just making everything like computational web-based, other types of proofs. We've covered some bizarre ones in the past, and we're going to continue to cover a bunch of them. Um, Proof of stake is you take your coins that you have, so you have to have a certain amount of coins to start, and you put them away in the vault, and it kind of works like the way like putting away gold in a vault does, where as it sits there being unused, it gains more value. And so that's a very, very quick, dirty, incomplete version of what proof of stake is. But overall, it doesn't really tax or really use your CPU or GPU for anything. You're just putting stuff away in a box. And so that is a lot more eco-friendly. You can process stuff faster because it's simpler, yet still strong math in terms of the encryption, things like that. And so the reason why this is a big deal is because Ethereum is a huge platform, particularly for applications and making other coins and NFTs and basic smart contracts on entire ecosystems. And Ether itself is worth a bunch, not only because of that value, but because it's one of the oldest. So it's a big freaking deal that one of the oldest and first among Bitcoin and Litecoin and the other OGs is switching officially from proof of work mechanism to the proof of stake, and that's what they called the merge. This had been talks for many, many years. It's been delayed multiple times, some because of the pandemic, some because of the incompetence, but basically it finally happened, and they have a whole page about the merge. I know it sounds like kind of rhymes with the purge. So seeing people with American flags and glow up mass shooting people, I can't tell if that's a movie or that was on today's news, but regardless, it's this weird coincidence of phrasing. So their beacon chain allowed them to move the mainnet over. The testnet has been proof of stake for a while, and now they moved everything over to proof of stake. And this is also a big deal because that means that anything that was forked from them that had proof of work that hadn't changed yet, they need to update it. And just anything that was really forked from Ethereum or anything that interfaces with Ethereum needs to be updated. And it's kind of like reverse Brexit, where it's like everything needs to be changed and updated. But unlike Brexit, this is actually a good thing pretty much overall. I mean, there might be some price fluctuations, there might be some confusion with code compatibility, but the baby pains is just, pales in comparison, in my opinion, to what they're trying to build towards for the future. So we now have a faster, more efficient Ethereum, something that is more modern and compatible with a lot more modern tech going on. So it's going to be interesting to see how this develops over time. So yeah, I've spent enough time on that. Let's get into the main meat here. See, again, that could have been its own episode, but I really just wanted to talk about this. So we're going to get an intro to Tezos, and then I'm going to take a short break, and we're going to then do a more deep dive. So I'll probably end this around 10 at max. So I went to this page. Now, first of all, it's weird sort of lawnmower man 4D cube stuff is already like, okay. That's it's like, yeah, it's a neat sort of thing going on there. A little bit of a Elon Musk on Joe Rogan sort of freaking out over here. God, I can't believe I cited those two idiots. But the words is what sticks out for me the most. So I'm just reading this as blockchain designed to evolve. Okay, but then it says security focused, upgradable, built to last. So those are the three things we're going to look at and test, and I'm particularly focusing on that first one that says it's security focused. Let's read down and see what they say, and then I'm going to play a video that kind of goes into a bit more detail. That's when the camera's going to go off. I'm still going to be listening. I'm going to go get my water and shove my head through the wall because, again, work this morning. And then we're going to do a more deep dive. We're going to look at some code. We're going to look at stuff that was developed on this. We're going to see just by observation, maybe a little bit of finagling and running, if what they say is actually going to be backed up here. We want to see the receipts. So they said Tezos is designed to power the Web3 revolution. But let's get into what they consider the core tenets of it. So the first thing, and again, it's the first sentence I noticed, but we're going to get more in depth here, is it says institutional grade security. Interesting choice of words with institutional grade security. Something about the word institutional that just brings up 1984, yeah, right, man, quoting Hackers 1995 stuff. Again, very choice words there. But they wrote here about themselves: Tezos is designed to provide the safety and code correctness. Code correctness, again, is this like Catholic? Are we talking about a blockchain platform or Catholic school? Code correctness required for assets and other high values. Use cases at both the protocol and application layers by leveraging the languages OCaml and Michelson. I'm going to say Michelson. I hope I pronounced that right. And we're going to take a look more in depth at both of those, by the way, which facilitate a formal verification, a practice commonly used in mission critical industries. The future of Web3 can be secured on Tezos. So basically what they're saying here is that their argument is that they are more secure. Now, again, we did an episode 2 years ago about um, privacy security coins that are more secure purportedly, and what sort of techniques and cryptographic stuff that they use. There's a lot of math episode, and then we went even further and talked about ones that actually go a step beyond and use decentralized and this might be the word obfuscation techniques, such as Tor and I2P. They say, aka coins on the dark web infrastructure, Bitcoin infrastructure and coins on the dark web. Their argument here is that they just don't say, oh, we're on a blockchain, so because it says crypto is in the word cryptocurrency, we're safe. That was a mistake that a lot of coins did in the beginning. Not even just shit coins or altcoins, major ass ones. A lot of them are still doing that now. The public perception is still like that, although it's slowly turning after seeing all the fuck ups and scams happen. They're building their security in there, and so what they're arguing is that they are using two languages and coding platforms, OCaml and Michelson, and these work instead of just the blockchain layer. It works directly at the protocol and application layers of all the products that interface with their blockchain. So that's their core thing of security. We're going to take a look at that. They also claim for more security because of their governance system, which, as they say here, users can actively participate by evaluating, proposing, or approving amendments on Tezos. This honestly sounds a lot like what we've been seeing in more modern governance programs, so I don't think it's probably that unique. Maybe it was when they announced Tezos a couple of years ago, or Tezos a couple of years ago, but now it sounds like it's become more modern, which I guess means that if they were one of the first to do this, that I guess something worked, you know? They're also claim, again, this is probably older information, energy efficient algorithm, just like Ethereum now instead of proof of work, like Bitcoin. And like they said, Bitcoin or Ethereum, ooh, they're going to have to change that in a couple of days. They use the proof of stake method. So that's a whole thing there. I love this sentence. Smarter smart contracts. I don't know. That's kind of like I don't know. That's like saying penisy penis. Like, what does that even mean? Let's read what they think it means. Tezos is one of the leading smart contract proof of stake blockchains. Tezos smart contracts can be used for formal verification, allow them to be more mathematically verifiable, reliable, and secure. Again, we're going to team that up with what they said before with OCaml and Michelson, and we're going to test that in a bit. Seamlessly forklessly. God, we're inventing and learning all sorts of new words today. That sounds like a word I would make up, forklessly. That's like when you order food at a restaurant and it was supposed to come with a knife and fork and they gave you a spoon. It was forklessly. Endlessly upgradable. Tezos is built to adjust, adapt, and add features and functionality through its proven on-chain upgrade mechanism. We're going to again look at that. And because of that, they're also claiming scalability. So it seems like the two main spotlights here is that they're claiming that they're secure because they're more secure, or one of the most secure blockchain platforms, because they have their own two languages and platforms that work at the protocol and application layers in addition to their cryptographic blockchain that allows them security. Again, it sounds like stuff, though, that if the users aren't up to date, you know, if their password is 12345, you have compromises. But again, we're going to look into more of that. Their governance system, which I guess was newer at the time. Their smart contract system, which it's tied, by the way, spoilers, tied into their Michelson platform. So that's their core tenets. That's one world with secure. And then they're trying to be really flexible, scalable, and energy efficient by their whole proof of stake and the way you can actually use the on-chain upgrade mechanism. Hence their first thing here where it says a blockchain designed to evolve. So we have all of that there. Let's just see if there's any other things. Another one down here. One thing I will point out is that, and I actually forgot to bring up the window for this. I always keep saying this. Almost every blockchain, because of the nature of what blockchains are, and that they're the spine for the cryptocurrencies. They all have a native coin. No matter. I know some of the holochain fanatics will argue against this with me at the end of time. But every chain, even if it's temporarily, has a native coin. It has to because of the way these things are set up. I'm trying to think of something. It's like a human being. I don't know, without like 2 arms and 2 legs at birth. Like that happens, but like that's why we know they're defects, because you're normally supposed to have them. Not shaming anyone who doesn't have them. I have people who have lost limbs and stuff. Great people, despite their handicaps. Sometimes they're a lot better than the people who don't have handicaps. Let's put it that way. But what was I getting to here? So Tezos' native coin is Tez, which sounds like someone's cousin out there. It's like, yeah, that's my cousin Tez. Although it's abbreviated as XTZ, which I have no idea why. I'm going to guess the X is probably like, because I notice a lot of times when something says X something in cryptocurrency sphere, it means it's a cross chain or it has something to do with the blockchain itself. And then TZ is probably for Tez, because they just couldn't call it XTez because maybe there's a copyright or it sounds too much like an odd AI pornography ring or something. But Tez, aka XTZ, is the native token on here. It's used to interact with the DApps or decentralized apps, pays for the fees such as the gas fees, secure the network through staking, which is a very interesting claim because proof of stake does not mean that you're automatically secure, and provides a base accounting unit of the Tezos platform. And let's see, and of course they constantly upgrade their protocols here. The current one, which we're going to look into in a moment. So they've had a bunch with crazy names here. Let's go all the way down. So the first one was Athens. They're all named after ancient crap. Then Babylon, then Carthage, which, boy, is that a lot there. Then Delphi, which I think someone forgot to tell them that they probably shouldn't name their platforms after existing programming languages. Edo, because weebs. Florence, Granada, I'm going to fuck up this name. Hangzhou, I think. Ithaca and Jakira, and now it's Kathmandu. So we're going to take a look at that in a bit. I'm actually going to open a new tab just for that. And if there's nothing else here, and of course they're hiring and all that stuff, and they have a lot of news and everything. They're ridiculously linked up here, which we are going to look up. They have both a GitHub and a GitLab. They have their own Discord, because if you run a cryptocurrency, you have a fucking Discord, and a Telegram, because you have to. Best way to interface with Eastern Europeans. A Reddit. They have a Riot chat, which is interesting because a lot of people actually don't have a dot matrix or use Riot, so that's kind of fascinating. They have their own exchange here and their own base forum system, which is neat. I'm going to open up a new tab real quick and go to something that I should have went to before. No. Coin. I'm going to go to CoinMarketCap, and we're going to look up Tez just to see how it's doing. Because the website claims that it's supposed to be like kind of really stable, but, you know, I want to go to the actual like numbers here just to make sure that everything's all hunky-dory. So maybe Tez right up there, and let's bring up and see what it's been going. All right, please note the BSC contract address on this page is a wrapped version of the assets on the chain. Okay, so there's kind of like a funhouse mirror thing going on. So right now, I will say it's kind of relatively stable at $1.49 because most shit coins do barely make it even close to $1. It has been dipping down. So as you can see, there was a lot of health earlier, and there was some up, back, and forth throws, and then it was doing really good the past like couple of days, and then it's like tanked down. I probably should check Twitter later on and see what the hell happened there. But that's just a quick look at what Tez is like. We're not going to go into it unless it's brought up again. And yeah, so once again, so the objective of this episode, once my computer will wrestle control back to me, there we go, is that um, Tezos claims to be a security-focused chain, and we're going to look into the mechanisms of that in a moment. It claims to be extremely flexible because it's a modulation system, and it's obviously very much going after, just like Polkadot, just like Holochain, and every other blockchain nowadays, is going after Ethereum as the place to build decentralized apps, dApps, and games, and NFTs, and smart contracts, and all sorts of stuff on there. It wants to be Web 3.0. And the fact that they claim that it's very modular and very security focused, they keep putting out there, like the first things that fly out of their mouth is security focused. That's the thing we're going to particularly look at today, even if it's just a glance. It does have its native coin Tez, known as XTZ, and they just recently updated to a new protocol that was voted on by their governance system. So we're going to take a look at all of that in a moment. Unlike our normal AFK away from video stuff, I actually have a video that we're going to watch that's going to get a little bit more in depth than what I said and probably explain things a little bit more clear with a bunch of great visuals. I'm going to turn off the cam, get some mortar and steps and stuff, but I am going to be listening. We're watching this together. It'll only be a couple of minutes long, and then we're going to go right into this, and who knows, we might even connect to a testnet or run some code or two. Wow, running code on crypto barons? That never happens. We used to do that all the time, and just because of the nature of the topics, we haven't done so recently. All right, so let's go to our friends at Whiteboard Crypto, which if you haven't seen their YouTube, you should totally check that out. I'll put the link both in the description and the name of the website later. And I will be back shortly so we can go into a greater dive into how it's secure, how it's built, see what security stuff they built in there in terms of, as they say, the protocol and application layers, see if it holds any salt from what we can glance at, and look at a lot of the stuff that's currently built on there, including some of the kind of odd, dirty secrets that have transpired in the past that they kind of wish you would forget or don't know about if you're all new to this, as I discovered. So anyhow, let's go to Whiteboard Crypto and see what they have to say here. See you in a bit.
The Ethereum blockchain is currently seen as the dominant Layer 1 protocol. Its use of smart contracts, as well as an active user base, is quite impressive. However, its race to the world's computer is filled with difficulties. Several big issues exist with Ethereum at the moment, like high transaction costs and slow confirmation times. As a result, Tezos, a proof-of-stake blockchain that is designed to evolve over time without requiring a hard fork, has seen a surge in popularity over the last couple years. Welcome to Whiteboard Crypto, the #1 YouTube channel for crypto education, and here we explain topics of the cryptocurrency world using analogies, stories, and examples so that you can easily understand them. In this video, we're going to be explaining what Tezos is, specifically how it works, and even how it might be better than Ethereum. So first off, what is Tezos? Fundamentally, Tezos is a self-amending blockchain that has a bunch of the same features as Ethereum, but with a few improvements. Tezos is an open source blockchain and application platform that can actually upgrade itself and develop smoothly. What does this mean? Well, upgrades to the core protocol, including even the self-amendment process itself, are decided upon by people who hold and stake the Tezos coin. This means if you own some Tezos, you can stake it and actually have some voting power in the network. Many see it as the protocol to solve one of the most significant flaws in blockchain technology right now. The Tezos token, traded under the symbol XTZ, is also known as a Tez. A Tezos is not dependent on mining. Instead, token holders are rewarded for participating in the blockchain's proof-of-stake consensus method, which is a part of the reason why many say it's superior to Ethereum, or at least until Ethereum supposedly upgrades to 2.0. Oh, and by the way, if you stake Tezos, they use a liquid proof-of-stake method, meaning that you can unstake your tokens at any time, for any reason, with no lockup period. This is actually kind of unique to other staking methods. Let's get into some other problems that Tezos solves. Basically, by looking at the problems that existing blockchains are currently facing, Tezos was created. And it was created with the purpose to evolve the space and act as a DeFi revolution. I know, it almost sounds too good to be true, and maybe it is, but just bear with me. Transaction costs, the self-amendment process, and smart contract issues are the biggest problems for DeFi, and a lot of this goes back to Ethereum's original proof-of-work architecture. Let's discuss how Tezos solves or improves each one of these. Number 1, transaction costs. Crypto investors are frustrated with the increase in transaction fees, especially over the past few years when crypto continues to break higher to new records and are constantly flooded with new users. It doesn't take long to browse r/Ethereum or r/cryptocurrency to start seeing memes about high gas fees, which gas fees are a technical term for Ethereum's transaction costs. Fortunately, Tezos addressed this challenge when it was created, and it simply won't have the same problems that proof-of-work blockchains have when it comes to high transaction fees. Specifically, since its introduction, the Tezos network has undergone several successful upgrades, 3 of which happened in 2021. On August 6, the most current Granada upgrade was implemented, and this marked the evolution of the platform to address transaction costs. Now, some of the advantages of this recent development include a decrease in block creation time from 60 seconds to 30 seconds, and also a decrease in gas usage by smart contracts by up to a third. I mean, just take a look at this. In August, they had the most transactions in the whole history of Tezos, and the gas fees were so much less than the month before. The network already outperforms Ethereum in throughput and speed, and as the Tezos community focuses on growth, more advancements are likely. Secondly, we have the self-amendment process, and this is probably my favorite part of Tezos. Every DeFi platform requires constant updates and adjustments to solve new unexpected problems. Because new ideas within the cryptocurrency world are never ending, so any platform has to be flexible enough to adapt quickly. Upgrades usually require a lot of work, and most blockchain platforms use a fork-based governance model that is slow to adopt new changes. This means that major changes require other people to actually update their software. Well, the team at Tezos created an on-chain governance system that features self-amendment to draw up the coordination costs that come along with upgrades to a blockchain network. This is a fancy way of saying it is very easy to make future changes to the blockchain, opposed to the lengthy forking process that other blockchains have to do. And if there's one thing I've learned about Tezos by being in their Discord, it's that what they care about most is the blockchain that actually serves them to the best of its ability, not bottlenecked by something that could be easily fixed. By using this self-changing techniques, hard forks will likely be avoided. Now, not only is this system a much faster system, it also helps to avoid legacy tokens like Ethereum Classic and Bitcoin Cash, which was the result of a hard fork. By the way, we actually have a video on Ethereum Classic coming up soon, so if you've already enjoyed this video, we know that you'll love that one. Subscribe if you want to, and you'll also reward our hard work making these videos. Lastly, number 3 is smart contract issues. So developers that want to launch decentralized applications could be interested in the Tezos blockchain. The platform offers the ability to make tokens and dApps as an open source platform for smart contracts. Particularly, Michelson, which is the platform's primary smart contract language, delivers strong security via and bear with me as I couldn't find a better way to rephrase this, formal verification mechanism that ensures the code functions as intended. The Tezos functionality is useful for smart contracts and applications with significant real-world value, such as tokenized assets and loans. Right now, currently, the Tezos dApp ecosystem isn't as widespread like Ethereum or Binance or Matic, but I think it's because they're still working on certain protocols, and the ones that are being built are currently in the development phase. Smart contracts in Tezos are much different than in Ethereum, so the way that I understand it, developers are still kind of tinkering. There's actually a link in the description if you want to check out their current DeFi apps. And I also wanted to mention that Hic et Nunc, abbreviated HIN, is actually an NFT marketplace with a ton of daily active users, and it's on the Tezos blockchain. Finally, we get to a part of the video that a lot of people have been waiting for. How is Tezos different from Ethereum? There are some similarities between these two projects, but there are also some significant differences that make Tezos stand out. First and foremost, both are blockchain-based decentralized ledgers and smart contract platforms. Let's get into their differences. First, Tezos agrees with Ethereum that maintaining the protocol dynamic and evolving is critical, but they take a different approach since Tezos uses a self-amending process. Ethereum, on the other hand, uses a soft and hard fork system. Now, if you're curious about the difference between soft and hard forks, you're lucky because we do have an entire video about it. Secondly, Tezos is one of the earliest blockchains to use a proof-of-stake consensus protocol right out of the gate, whereas Ethereum still uses proof-of-work. It should be noted, though, that Ethereum intends to switch to proof-of-stake soon, though. Lastly, in terms of smart contracts, Tezos just has completely different smart contracts than Ethereum. Ethereum created a low-level machine called the Ethereum Virtual Machine, which requires higher-level coding languages to take advantage of it. Tezos, on the other hand, keeps its smart contracts simple and low-level. In fact, Tezos' Michelson was built from the ground up to be a simple target for formal verification, which may become far more important as smart contracts are used by people around the world. As we wrap up this video, we want to talk about the history and the future of Tezos. So in July 2017, Tezos executed its initial coin offering that raised $232 million, making it the largest ICO ever at the time. The Tezos Foundation, which is based in Switzerland, was established following the ICO to launch the protocol. Since then, the Tezos community is presently working on strengthening the core's protocol's security and privacy, as well as providing more developer-friendly tools. One of Tezos' self-amendment upgrades, called Carthage, went into effect in March of 2020, and it actually made enhancements that allowed developers to do more powerful things with their smart contracts, and it also made it much safer in the process. Edo and Florence were also very powerful updates that gave a ton of other flexibilities in writing smart contracts. In my opinion, one of the largest and coolest concepts when it comes to Tezos is their agenda. I was asking some questions in their Discord to learn more about the protocol, and one of their users said this: "Main thing that's good about Tezos is there's no organization that's also running the chain going around paying people like you to make content and show the coin. When folks take an interest, it's genuine." And I personally think he's right. Ending this video, I had to share about the recent lawsuit against Tezos. The investors actually won a $25 million case for the argument that the ICO was an unregistered securities sale. Now, this doesn't really say anything about the coin, but it does show how much the US court systems feel about crypto. Also, I want to let you guys know, if you're interested in a premium decentralized finance or DeFi guide that I have personally put together, check out whiteboardcrypto.com and you can get it for free. Well, that's all we have for Tezos today, but if you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to leave it in the comment section below, as Tezos is an attractive project with a great number of passionate supporters. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. We really hope that you've learned something, and above all, we hope to see you in our future videos.
So, turn the microphone back there and take off the headphones, because otherwise I hear weird echoes about myself and it makes my already crazy hair even worse. So, that was a lot of information there, and bits of it is stuff we're going to be looking at right here in a moment. Before we do get in, I do want to remind once again, because I realized I wasn't that good about that last time, so I'm going to make sure we get on this, that yes, as I said before, all the way until the end of October at least. So by November 1st, it should be all done. We're still raising money for the National Abortion Federation, which this sounds like a big scary name, because it kind of is, but they're an amazing group of activists, lawyers, both boots on the ground and, of course, their legal teams, who normally promote, in addition to the scary word abortion, like actual contraceptive rights, and also the privacy and security around those areas of human sexuality in general, whether you're straight, gay, whatever. And of course, with the SCOTUS ruling that has killed a lot of privacy, including digital privacy for a ton of people, no matter what your gender or sexuality or background is. And then for people with uteruses, it's a goddamn nightmare in this country. Even our Puritan ancestors are like, huh? It's like that levels of dumb. So we're trying to raise a good amount of money for them so that they can continue that fight for all of our privacy and for other hackers and people's rights. You can click on the link I just sent in chat if you want to donate. Even if it's $1 or $5, we'll get the notification for it. I basically worship you the entire stream. Someone has to knock Anthony's top donation record off of here, because that's been going on for like a couple of weeks, and I want to see someone dethrone him. Just put like $20 and 2 cents, or like $21 or something, just to see something different up there on the leaderboard. But we're going to be having also multiple live streams, including this one that I tried to raise up. You can also, if you're on Twitch, scroll down and see our little fundraiser button that we have there, as well as if you are more mobile inclined, you can scan that QR code and not get a weird QR code man in the middle of tech, but instead go to Tiltify, which is the company that handles all of our the money being donated, because we're not going to touch it, because we're hackers. No one would ever trust that. We should know we're hackers. And yeah, even if we don't meet our goal at the end, all the money donated is going to go for a great cause anyhow. So just reminding you, that would be a great thing to see this stream, even if someone donated $1. Just putting it out there. So speaking of putting out $1, let's get into some of the stuff we learned. First of all, liquid proof of stake. That was nowhere written on any of the stuff that I looked at for Tezos. So that's a new word. And it also mentioned an outdated version of their protocol. Recently, their consensus system, which again, so their idea of modularity is that this system is so modular and it's so governed by its user base that the idea is that in theory, there should never be a hard fork of any of their chains because the chain constantly evolves all the time as like a weird blockchain version of Theseus's ship, which is kind of, I guess, the original idea that Satoshi was probably trying to go for with this whole blockchain system here for digital money and assets. But, we'll see how it goes when it's more hardened in about like 5 or 10 years, provided the project doesn't implode. And the newest one that they released was back in July, which is Kathmandu, and I hope I pronounced that right. And so let's see what features they have here. That they've added apparently in that release, because we're going to look at the code, so we should know what the latest release is. Smart contract optimistic rollouts enabled on bleeding edge testnets. That's good because I would like to, before the end of the stream, try to connect to one of the testnets. Pipeline validation of manager options, which is apparently something that's in beta, so it's ongoing. Improved randomness, that's always a good thing. I'm kind of concerned about what was the problem with the previous randomized system for their random number generator, aka random numbers that are not random. Thank you for computing that's not quantum. With verifiable delay functions, support for tailored governance for permanent testnets, so that's their ghostnet, as they call it, system, which is their main testnet. Event logging for the Michelson smart contract. I'm glad that they said Michelson. That's what we're going to be using. We are not dead naming this smart contract language platform. And new operations for increasing paid storage as a smart contract. So all sorts of stuff here. Let's see here. So some other notes they say is they've changed stuff with protocol testing on here. So we might look at those two things in a moment. Smart contract roll testing on the testnets and continuous DApp testing on the ghostnet. So I think we're going to at least try to provide it doesn't crash the stream connected with testnet, because those are always fun. Those are always fun to do. Because I don't think we have, even if there was a wallet, wallets are kind of boring unless there's something really unique about them. I usually don't load up the wallets. I think connecting to one of the testnets at the end would be fun. So let's take a quick look at the white paper here. Again, we're not going to, it's only 17 pages long, which is, it has, that's good amount. I think that's like the right amount, like 17 to 20 pages is a good amount of like, especially if there's math involved, like content explaining what the hell you're doing, without going into like incessant, like I'm falling asleep in college in a college lecture sort of thing, because I always hate the white papers that are like 8 million pages long, because like even when we're not live streaming this, I'm just like, ugh. A lot of times when I find out the white paper is that long, I will go through the white paper just to point out, here's the actual math they've been talking about for the last 15 pages. I turn into Peter Griffin, where it's like, it was his sled since he started as a kid. There, I saved you 2 boobless hours. Like that's how I feel about these white papers. But let's just take a quick peek in it. It was done by L.M. Goodman. The original white paper was published on September 2nd, 2014. So this has been an ongoing project here for quite a while here. This is basically right around to right before general cryptocurrency, especially Bitcoin, exploded. So that's kind of fascinating. Let me see if I need to zoom in. Oh yeah, I have to zoom in more. So we're going to make this 1,000,000,000%. There we go. That should be better. Is that better? Yeah, I think that's decently better, because I'm going to then read along here. I'm going to read the first paragraph. We present Tezos, a generic and self-amending crypto ledger. Tezos can insatiate any blockchain-based ledger. The operations of a regular blockchain are implemented as a purely functional module abstracted into a shell responsible for network operations. So that kind of gives a hint about what they're trying to do, at least in this abstract, with the whole modularization thing, where basically every amendment is an abstract that is sort of a shell for its overall blockchain and network operations that then I guess permanently goes in once all the protocols are voted for it. Bitcoin, Ethereum, crypto note. God, that's how old this paper is. Crypto note. That's Obi-Wan Kenobi, that's a name I haven't heard in a long time, can all be represented within the Tezos by implementing the proper interface to the networking layer. More importantly, Tezos supports meta upgrades. You're using the word meta before metaverse. That's kind of, because I have to remind myself, I'm like, oh no, I'm like, wait a minute, this predates that. So I think we're good. Except for Snow Crash, which is where Zuckerberg and his evil demon army stole that from, because he has to steal good things and then ruin it with his taint. Of course he does. Um, let's see. Protocols that can evolve by amending their own code. Ooh, this is like AI, kind of fictional AI bot territory here. To achieve this, Tezos begins with a seed protocol defining a procedure for stakeholders to approve amendments to the protocol, including amendments to the voting procedure itself. This is unlike the philosopher, Peter Subder's Nomic, a game built around a fully introspective set of rules. We might have to look up that game later. I've heard of it. I know who Peter Subder is, but like I've never actually explored that. I was not expecting to see an actual like pen and paper game here. Like we're doing D&D in here. This is crazy. In addition, Tezos C protocol is based on a pure proof of stake system and supports Turing complete smart contracts, so that way it can avoid all the problems in Blade Runner. Tezos is implemented in OCaml, which we're going to look at in a second. Powerful functional programming language offering a speed and ambiguous syntax and semantics and an ecosystem, making Tezos a good candidate for formal proofs of correctness. Familiarity with the Bitcoin protocol and basic cryptographic primitives are assumed for the rest of the paper. I'm just going to scroll through here. Oh, this is actually broken down pretty manageable here. They have the network shell, each part of the network shell, the clock, the chain selection, etc., and then all the functional representation, and then they have a bit of the economy, their proof of stake system, which is nice to see a proof of stake. So a lot of people just say proof of stake and they move on, even if they're white papers, because they assume you know what I meant. I guess because this is an older white paper, it actually has to sit there and detail what exactly it does. Smart contract system in conclusion. So it's kind of a nice, well-rounded consent. Condensed sort of white paper here that tells you all the relative information without like boring you with meandering cranky Kong type stuff, which is what I usually do. Let's see here. Let's see some mathematical representation. Blockchain protocol is fundamentally oh boy, let me drink some water here. Now I'm wishing the water was something else. A mnemonic implementation of a concurrent mutations of a global state. It's not that we even hit math early in the white paper. I expect, in fact, I'm often disappointed when there's no math in a white paper on a blockchain thing. It's that we're already hitting these type of words. What page are we on? This is the third page, and we're already hitting these type of words. This is achieved by defining blocks as operators on this global state. Some of this we covered in our very first episode, fucking blockchains, how they work. So if you want to know more about that after this episode airs, if you don't want to see where we raid to, which we are going to raid someone later today on Twitch in about half an hour or so, you can go and check out that first episode a bit more on that. So let's see if we can find any math that to answer the old a modified version of the old Passover question. What makes this block? I do a bad Jewish impression, by the way. You would think with all the Jewish friends I had to do a better impression, but I don't. I turn into bad Zoidberg, basically. Like, what makes this blockchain different from all the other blockchains? Let's see here. Okay, so they say here, let's S less than be totally ordered, possible states. Let's do smoking crossout sign, no trident, S represented a special invalid state, and then BS, bullshit, separated by a not a C with some sus and a no smoking sign in brackets, be the set of blocks, and that the valid blocks are the bullshit separated by an N with another S on the side as its side piece. I know I described math operations in a very hilarious, weird way. So that's the S extended to that of the says variance. Okay, so less than of that point of the representative state of the blocks. That's what that actually read right there in like English, basically. This order determines which leaf in the block tree is considered to be the canonical one, which is always important, especially when your chain branches out, or especially if you're running a parachain system that's becoming more of like a trying to trace tree paths on chains. Crazy stuff. So let's see. The blockchain protocol can be done by that tuple, which is this equation here. Networking protocol. In Tezos, we made a blockchain protocol introspected by letting the blocks act on the protocol itself. So that's what they're saying about self-repairing and self-amendment, is that basically nothing is sacred on Tezos. You can, let me just double check something. You can basically modify anything on it, including the actual parameters of modifying, which means if this ever gets busted open, you'll end up with basically like a dev tool platform for Grand Theft Auto Online, which is basically what Grand Theft Auto 6 uses, and go to ham on all of this. So that's interesting. So their whole thing is you get the proofs by that standard with the blockchain compared to its own leaf. That works. That's actually a unique take. That would basically encompass the entire chain itself, so we don't have to worry about that. So let's see, anything with the network shell, it's old camel. We're going to get into that in a moment. Every block carries a timestamp visible to the network shell. You'd be shocked of how many blockchains, including modern ones, don't either have a timestamp or don't have proper timestamp, because they literally just go by order of the actual blocks in the chain. They actually don't try to do some sort of UTC timestamp when they're created. You would think that information would be in there. It's shockingly not, because, you know, programmers, we think we know what we're doing when we don't. It's kind of like Apple. Everything works great until it breaks. Let's see, blocks that appear to come from the future. Ooh, time travel. Are buffered if their timestamps are within a few minutes of the system time and rejected otherwise. So that's part one of security there. It actually compares it to the actual times that they're generated, so that's good. So someone was smart and put some parameters in there. So that's neat. Chain section algorithm. The shell maintains a single chain rather than a full tree of blocks. Okay, so it's keeping everything concise and orderly there. This chain is only overwritten if the client becomes aware of a strictly better chain. So survival of the fittest. It's very rare. Let's see. Fortunately, a protocol can have properties of low scoring chains exhibit a low rate of block creation. Thus, the client would only consider a few blocks of a weak fork before concluding. And now, so it was a lie. Cake was a lie. So that's how they are able to do modularization without doing constant hard forks. Again, everything, as we've seen with this equation up here, nothing is sacred to the chain itself. Everything can modify, including the parameters of the chain, and the fact that everything is kept in consistent chains instead of crazy, out of control trees, and that they're all time stamped. I can kind of see now a bit of the building blocks there. You would need a bunch of other stuff, which I guess we're going to get to in a moment, but that's kind of a good thing there. Ooh. So not only does this white paper, and then we're going to move on, have math, it also has some base code in it. That's neat. So validating the chain, type raw block header. So we're going to define that as, we're going to need to call it the block hash as its predecessor, and then the header is the bytes operation, and then those operations are the actual hash list for those, and then it timestamps it, as it said in the equation above, whether it timestamps every single block. That's really neat. So yeah, this white paper, again, we're not going to go through the whole thing here, because otherwise I'd be here till like 2 a.m. in the morning, and despite my my insistence of insomnia, my involuntary insistence of insomnia, I do like sleeping. So that's a rumor there. My phone just decided to fart on itself. But yeah, this is an interesting white paper here. It's concise. It uses big words, but it makes sense. And I like the mix of it. Not only shows math, but it also shows the actual hard code examples. I'm going to post the white paper PDF, which is not a hack, in the chat, so that if you want to check that out, I also might go back later and put it in the description. We'll see how I feel. So you can go fully check this out yourselves. So that's pretty neat. So let's hop over and look at, if you clicked on, developers, the dev portal, what you would see when it loads up here. So let's see, learn, and it talks about the Tezos open wallet. So holding the native tokens enables that. We might click on that and then join the network here. I love that. By the way, I have to read this because I love this description. The Tezos network is a vast and growing, consisting of validators, and they don't use the term validators; they call them bakers. Because I guess they're thinking of putting things in the oven, but knowing what crypto is like today, all I'm thinking is like, wake and bake, that sort of stuff. Bakers help validate, or the bakers from Resident Evil 7, I might say, which is a whole other cup of noodles there. Bakers help validate and secure the network. We could click more. We might look at that in a bit. They have smart contract templates for both fungible and non-fungible tokens, so they have repositories for that. So this is something. I'm going to open up a new tab on this that I didn't see earlier. So they have different smart contract types here. You can have it in Lego, Smart Pi, which is a weird ass modified version of Python because Python needs to be in absolutely everything. So instead of trying to whip base Python into making your own smart contract, which is why now we have specific smart contract languages like Solidity and such, someone decided to just hack the fuck out of Python to make it more like baseline adaptable for smart contracts, which we might look into in a little bit. And then they also have Archetype, which is a DSL or a domain-specific language to develop smart contracts on. And then they have their career page, blah, 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 blah. So just want to quickly dip in to see what their whole wallet use is here. So it doesn't seem like they have their own unique wallet. Instead, they use third-party wallets for everything, which, not your best security thing, but, I guess when you're more focusing on the network, it's better to have other people kind of offload that sort of resources than trying to do everything yourself from scratch. So I could see their logic there. I'm just guessing, by the way. I don't know if that's actually what they thought. I'm just guessing as someone who's kind of involved in this. So they have a frequently used section, and they both have software wallet types you can use here, both a mixture of web and desktop, including mobile desktop. Hardware wallets, they support the base of Ledger and Trezor, which we did an unboxing for a Trezor wallet a while back. And wow, you can even use I'm going to click on that. They have their own command line wallet. Wow, okay, that's something we might look into in a couple of minutes here. So I'm going to actually probably extend this to 10:30. And we will be done by then. I can guarantee that. And I'm just going to bring up the network page really quick here. And we might be able to connect to a network later. So what is baking? Well, baking is where you make dough and you put it in. No. For them, it sounds here that this is basically their. So remember in that whiteboard video, they were calling it liquid proof of stake. I guess the term they end up selling with is that baking is them trying to describe that type of proof of staking system that they use. So that's what that is right there. So it's the top ahead here. So they have their own dev portal called Open Tezos. And this is where all the stuff here is. We have blockchain basics, Tezos basics, smart contracts, how to play your own node, how to use Explorer to look at the chain, the different languages here, building a DApp, baking, deploying bakers. I like the little logo for bakers right there. That's cute. And actually, why are we looking at this? Can we do? Yes, it's all dark mode. Because I want to rewind back for a second. You know what's weird? When you go to their release page, they have a little icon which makes you think you can put it in dark mode, but watch this. It only does dark mode for the upper banner where all the menus are. It doesn't actually darken anything with the page itself. That's just a new like head desk against the keyboard sort of thinking right there. That should tell you that programmers and engineers are working on this, because definitely no one's working on the UI interface for any of this. Like UX, UXI, what's the UX? What's that? DeFi system, validations, and creating your own private Tezos network. So we might take peeks of these near the end here, but we have a lot to look at, so I'm just trying to get through as most stuff as we can. So as we said all the way back, we're now going to get into the meat of this. This part's going to drive me crazy. Back when we looked at Tezos just on their base website, and they talk about why they were secure, they claim that they have security at both the protocol and application layers, and they're leveraging two languages in order to do so. And we're going to take a look at the first one real quick, which is OCaml. We have a little example of a chunk of the language here, and you can actually go to Playground, which we've looked into when we looked at the Avalanche network, and explore and load that up. So again, I'm saving all the futzing around stuff at the end. I'm just trying to get through all the stuff I can find first, because it is a lot, and I'm actually shocked of how much we've gotten through already. But let's quickly read what OCaml is. OCaml is a general purpose industrial strength programming language with an emphasis on expressiveness and safety, which sounds like left brain and right brain in an unholy marriage. But apparently it's entrusted by, let's see what developers have used this. Facebook has used this. Microsoft has used this. So the 2 out of the 5 horsemen of the apocalypse have used it. Docker, which has already made a bunch of you slam your head through your keyboard. Jane Street, Bloomberg. I wasn't expecting that in there. Tezos, obviously, and I don't care if we put an A in front of it. When I see hrefs, that's like that's like the web version of regular expressions. My brain just no. All right, so they describe OCaml here. So safety, unobtrusive type safety. OCaml's powerful type system means more bugs are caught at the compile time, and large complex code bases are easier to maintain. This makes it a good language for running critical code at the same time sophisticated inference makes this type of system unobtrusive, creating a small. So basically, they figured out in a UI kind of friendly way of apparently a better bug scanning system, so that you're iterating less and you're bug squashing less. So that way, your code is the most pure that can get out there as you're typing and developing it. So okay, challenge accepted. Like we'd have to look into that, but we'll see. OCaml apparently has 2 compilers. There's a bytecode compiler, and the other is a native code compiler. So it's basically one is speed, one is performance, and they're running parallel at the same time. So I guess when you initially go onto it, it's doing portable, small executable stuff really fast, and then the other is just efficient machine code, and then I guess it switches on to that once you're more stable on the other. So that's neat. So dual compilers, that makes it neat. Editor and tooling, it supports. Oh, I got a headache. It supports the 3 heads of Cerebus. It supports Microsoft Visual Studio, Emacs, and Vim. No, hold on, no Nano support, I guess. Because I would imagine they list here unless Emacs paid them to not list Nano in here. Not that I'm a fan of Nano, this is stuff that I noticed because IRC likes to argue all day, and yes, IRC still exists, and it's even more hilarious to go on now. But yeah, so it supports the 3 headaches of inline coding right there. So that's fun. And apparently they forward a good community for educators and industrial users. And we have different things. We have videos getting started, books and stuff we might look at. We have API documentation, papers. Let's take a quick look at the Playground sample code that they have over here. And then I might be able to bring up a quick video on this. And we'll get started. Okay, so we are in Playground. So let's see here, type AB res. Okay, so the error, and we already have an output here, even though we haven't run it yet. Let's look at our PP resolution. So we've set that to function. Okay, you can print either okay if it's fine or error if it's not fine. Let's run it. And we got an okay. So yeah, so that was just the example there, really quick, just to see that yes, it is a language and it works. Let's see what the whole getting started is. Oh, that's a lie. So they put a play video icon there, but from what I understand, it looks like there's no videos. That was a cake. That was a lie. So let's see, getting up and running with it. Let's just take a quick look. So Need to use shell for the command line interface on this, unless you have a, well, to load it, I guess then you load the compiler. So on Mac OS, we're going to use terminal because, stop being a heathen, use terminal, Mac users. It exists. It's buried in a bunch of stupid folders because Apple, but it's there. It's like on Android where you have to find it or install it. It's there. I'm glad NCommander is not watching this. They actually recommend PowerShell. They also say like that there's an older shell called command prompt. So basically, you can get kicked in the balls or punched in the balls, one of those two. And then with Linux, you can use whatever shell, bash or zsh, as some people call it, basically ZSH, whatever the hell your terminal loads up. And they have two different instructions for Linux and Mac OS because again they're sharing the same shell for Windows. So you'd have to initialize it after the install. We're not gonna, from my understanding, we're not gonna do that today. Although it's nice that they list Ubuntu, Arch Linux, and Debian as base ones. Nothing for Fedora, so that's kind of fascinating. Maybe they have their own thing on their own repo, and they also have a binary distribution. Okay, so that covers the rest of Linux. So let's see, Unix for all of those. New switch, and of course the installation for Windows. I mean, if we wanted to, we could do either one of those things, but I don't think we're going to do an install. I'm more interested in doing like test network stuff. And then you configure what your editors. So they have it for Visual Studio, and I'm pretty sure down here they're going to have it. Okay, and then the formatting for the different compilers, and we are done. So that was just a quick look at what OCaml is. So now we're going to look at its second thing here. And this is, from what I understand, the core of the smart contracting. And this is Michelson at the hilarious michelson.org. I'm actually going to go back real quick, and I am going to put the URL of OCaml with a nice little camel, buy camel logo. Now we're going to get flagged because I just sung part of the damn Egyptian cat dancing meme song. But that's the website at ocaml.org. And now I'm going to be looking at Michelson at michelson.org, which I wonder how many people accidentally find this and think that there's just someone named Michelson and that like we found like a weird biographical page of a man who thinks he's a coding language. That would be hilarious. So it says here Michelson, and let's zoom in just a tiny bit more. Is an open source resource introduced in the Tezos white paper, and initially as we read, Michelson is a powerful functioning programming language designed for Tezos smart contract development. It's forward thinking, innovative, blah 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 blah, all the usual smart contract stuff. So they have choose your poison. You can either go to their Slack or go to their Stack Exchange. We're not doing either. It says you do not need to know Michelson to build on Tezos. So again, it offers the alternatives that we're going to look at. It's in there. My whole thing is, is there anything for the code itself? So the weird thing is that I don't see anything for the actual, like looking at Michelson itself. We might have to go back to the get started, the sort of open Tezos and take a look at that itself. That's something we might have to do to look at that. So this is just kind of like a landing page. So this is good. So now we're just going to blow through a bunch of stuff, and then we're going to look at some code and then test some things. So even though, and we're going to get into why in a bit, Tezos is not as developed in terms of an ecosystem, or probably well known as, definitely as Ethereum, but even Polkadot and Holochain and Matic, aka Polygon, and all of that. But there is a bunch of stuff that has been already made for it by the community. These developers for this chain are, you can tell that they're dedicated for their own stuff. And this is all community stuff. All run by, if I can find them here, the Tezos Foundation, which is their whole thing here. And we're going to test that claim near the end, where they, remember that quote that's in the white paper about that there's no one governance. What they usually mean is the foundation that's saying what to build and stuff. It seems like that's true, but there is a wrinkle we're going to get into a bit in a moment. They do have a security section and a bug bounty program, so that's neat. Let's look at the bug bounty program real quick. So So they have bug bounties for dynamic NFTs, which is definitely a subject we're going to be covering probably early next year. Some games, complete tutorials. They will, so they, even though it's not a bug, they will pay you for writing certain tutorials that are desperately needed. So note that if you're not very good at the whole infosec thing on blockchain technology, if you're good at like documentation, you can apparently get between $2,000 to $5,000 worth in USD, United States money, for essentially writing notations and a tutorial that will actually make sense and read in normal human language. So that's could be some potential easy money about there. I might look into that because I usually do documentation for a lot of things. Looking for stuff in the Uniswap market. So they have a bunch of different things open in their bug bounty program. They have a grants program. Let's look at what it says in security. So I'm going to just click on the security tab itself. I'm not going to bring up the individual thing here. So we have that. We already looked at the bug bounties. Now they have a section. Ooh, this is neat. I've never seen anyone do this, especially a foundation. They actually have a compiled list of known scams. That's pretty impressive. So they actually keep track of fake websites and gambling stuff and phishing scams and all of those things, and they shout them out and put them on here. So that's really fascinating. So there's a whole list of things. So do not go to, for example, tezosnet.work or Tezos Foundations with an S.com. This is Tezos.foundation. That's the official one. Tezos-foundation.com, xtz-wallet.io. There's a ton of web stuff they list, and you can email them at scamreport@tezos.com if you found a website that's purporting a scam, claiming under Tezos. Tezos. I keep saying Tezos like it's a snack or something. And they'll list that if they look at it and realize, yeah, they're right, this is a fucking scam. We'll do that. So that's actually pretty forward thinking. So again, slowly but surely, I'm kind of seeing the sort of overall, it's not really super advanced, but just the general infrastructure, and it's more of, which is important of sort of their planning on what to do. I do wonder if they have or they should have a section of if everything goes tits up, what's their policies? Because that is always a big thing to look out for on any tech platform here. So let's see some of the stuff real quick of what people have built on Tezos. And there's been a lot of different things. There's been a lot, particularly in gaming, I must say. So it says here, Tezos Indian partners with IndieGG is trying to go in the Indian market. I think it's funny they're going to the Indian market because every time I look at NFT games and blockchain games, it seems that it's Portugal where it's the most popular. That's kind of fascinating here. Let's find some of the other game stuff here. So this is the launch pad they have here, the Tezos India Gaming launch pad. This is that page that was talked about in the article where they're trying to build sort of a very friendly sort of developers partner platform and teaching people how to code for the chain and making decentralized apps in order to expand the sort of gaming stuff on Tezos. And that's actually how I found this, was I was looking at blockchain stuff for gaming and Tezos popped up and I was like, oh, they claim it's secure too. We're going to look into this. Let's do that as an episode. So this is a big initiative by the community here. There's already been a lot of games that's been made, like Masterlight, which is a collectible card game. Sorry, Matterlight. On here, you can see a screenshot. If this stuff still exists by next year, because we tried to do NFT and crypto games, and literally we tried streaming it 3 times, and every time it just crapped itself, whether it was this outdated machine or unforeseen consequences with a VM. So next year we're going to try it again, and some games might not be around. There'll probably be new games announced. I'm always keeping lists and checking them twice of different games. We're totally going to try them in June around like the Gamer E3 time. That should be fun. Or maybe we'll do it early in April for around PAX East, March, April for PAX East. Who knows? We'll find out with all of that. What other stuff? We have gift.games, which I'll put the link of here, which is another sort of, this is not done by the Indian division. This is done by completely different, more English community based division here. Documentation, roadmap. They have their own token systems. This is built on the Tez network. Okay, so I saw some of the games here. There's Matterlight. We're gonna look into that one in a second. Lorcan. Tezotopia sounds like the This Is Not Zootopia, a XXX parody that we did not need. That's all I will say about that name. It could be a really good game, but there's also a game company which might be the developer that has a bunny furry logo. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep scrolling there. Nothing against furries. I'm just gonna keep scrolling here. So they have a whole roadmap system here. MMATs, what the? I have to look up what the hell that means. There's these new terms with these kids here. So as you can see, there's a lot going on with gaming. There's also a lot going on, if I can find it here, with NFTs in the art scene is another big thing that I've noticed with Tezos, and they have their particular own sort of NFT marketplace that, again, was not done by the Tezos folks themselves, but from what I can understand was done by just the community, and that kind of, I guess, shows you how probably leveraging the developer tools are, I imagine, for this. Just even looking at some of the code, it seems really easy to read as long as you know base programming from like Python or C or Rust and stuff. It seems like you can kind of get the concept here. So they made their own stuff, still in beta, but Signaverse is their whole NFT platform here, which you kind of see all over their. Ooh, I looked at partners. What the? Zach Bennon's The Haunted Museum. And I have to look up that one. And tequila, because, of course, you're coding. Of course you're going to be drinking. Another very interesting development from Tezos is, now, as you can see here, there's a whole Ukrainian division. Ooh, spicy stuff. And in August, they built a platform called Quilt. Which is, if we remember when we were talking about Oxen and we were talking about their platform sessions, which we are going to test in the near future for our own communication stuff for when we're not at meetings and members can chat. This is their kind of version of that. This is a blockchain social media encryption messaging platform that is entirely built on Tezos. So they built all of this, and from what I can imagine is it sounds like they built this because of you-know-who coming in kicking shit around and is currently losing really bad, that now he's whining on the cameras that he's going to send more terrifying stuff. And again, challenge accepted, dickwad. I'm watching you, Putin. And then Russian soldiers try to invade, but haha, I live in the void. He doesn't know where that is. So, no one knows where the void is. I'll put it this way. It's near where the liminal spaces are, but it's not the liminal spaces. So that's the closest hint you're ever going to get for where this secret hacker void is, that thankfully I didn't put together, because otherwise there would just be like popsicle sticks and glue everywhere. Competent hackers kind of put this little virtual space I have together. So let's see that they're kind of doing here. So I see already IPFS. So it sounds like they're basing this directly on IPFS, and then I guess using Tezos itself to do the profiles, which, if it is as security and validating as it is, not only would that be a great way to protect usernames and people's accounts, but because of its modularity, they can, let's say the chain gets hacked, they can edit stuff on the fly. So I could see why they would want to kind of do this. So that's neat. It does end-to-end encryption. So I'm going to post the link to quilt.chat, as it's called. So that's a whole community project done by their Ukrainian fans out there for kind of obvious reasons. So that's an interesting development over there. And let's see, what else do we have with Tezos? We already covered Sigmaverse, which is getting into metaverse bullshit. We have, this is their whole dev portal. They have events online and in person here. They have one in Israel. Last month they had their own hackathon. So they partnered with a hackathon, Gitcoin, which is another topic that we covered. So that's kind of cool. And I know we're missing something here. Oh, so I saved like the crazy stuff for last over here. Okay. So one of them is FX text, which sounds like a hipster project, probably because it is. As it says here, this is their fads making a Web 3.0, Web 3 publishing platform on Tezos. So this is how you can distribute documents and other sort of things in a sort of more secure, decentralized fashion. You could write NFTs directly on it, fungible tokens, mutable metadata, all sorts of stuff you could do on here. Involving Markdown, all sorts of stuff. So if you want to build a Web3 ecosystem, particularly an art ecosystem, FX bracket, text bracket, very programming of you, is in there, and I just put the link in that. And probably the strangest thing that I have seen been developed on Tezos, and then we're going to try to do a test net, look at a bit of code, and we're all done. Is this is a sentence. This is both a blessed and cursed sentence at the same time here. Doja Cat, because of course it's Doja Cat, the woman who sings about being a cow, to release NFTs through One Of, which is a company that comes with exclusive augmented reality experience. So Doja Cat is using One Of, which is a asset and marketing platform company that built itself on Tezos to create augmented reality experience NFTs for Doja Cat. And because it's freaking Doja Cat, and here's the Instagram post about it, I'm pretty sure this is not going to be the first time. This is not going to be the last time that music artists and other people end up trying to do this. And expect this type of blessed, cursed, nightmare sort of stuff that you're going to see in the future. So good for you, Tezos. You're popular with Doja Cat fans. That's not a diss. Like, that's actually kind of impressive. Most things in crypto, again, was it crypto.com got Matt Damien, and he regrets doing the internet ad. So, you know, I think you've done better than that. All right, so since we're near the end of the episode here, let's see what we can futz around with here. So first, real quickly, let's look at the stuff. There's stuff on GitHub. We added 3 things to our own. We forked 3 things to our own repositories. So if you want to follow along with us, or you want to do your own separate audit of what's going on, you can. I'm going to actually post this GitHub directly into chat. And there's a lot of benefits for it. I mean, we try to equally focus between the different live streams, add their own little perks and stuff. But you can just do a lot more with Twitch, despite Twitch loving to like Apple, loving to self-sabotage itself and see what they can get away with their stupid no more hosting, and now their bad 50% cuts with more ads. It's like, we're not even in that. We reached the status of affiliate. We never agreed to it because of contract stuff. But even us, it's just bullshit, you know? And I love it. It's like right before TwitchCon. So, you know there's not going to be any dramas 2 weeks from now when that con happens in person. But we add to our own repository 3 different things that you can follow along with us. And if you're on Twitch, we also have a little GitHub widget, which you can go click on, and it has all this stuff pinned up there and follow along. So we have the mirror of the different repositories, which is based off of the OzTez repository here. So this sort of has all the main core code for the chain and the network and the different layers. We also put on the white paper. It's nice to see that they have, and I actually can show them here, that they're nice to have the white paper completely on GitHub. So whether it's PDF or that. And we also have OCaml itself to look at because we couldn't find anything about Mickelson. So all of that in here, including what it takes to run the 2 different tiers. Again, it's running 2 different compiler systems independently. How to install all of that. Again, I don't think we could try if we have a little bit more time, or I feel like it, run it. But I don't think we are. But let's look at the beatdown of what is this. So you can tell Tezos, it's like 84% OCaml. It's the same thing as OCaml itself. Camel apparently has a little bit of it built into C, some shell to wrap everything together, a tiny bit of assembly because you have to, a maker file, which, yay, you can just build it instead of going crazy. M4, and then other things that has no idea about. And then in terms of Tezos itself, it's made of OCaml, chunk, shockingly, of WebAssembly, which I guess does make sense. Some Python, glue things together, JavaScript, because you need support for both, shell, Legolang. Oh, that's one of the alternative things to Michelson. We're going to look at that in a bit, and then some other stuff it doesn't know. So that's kind of fascinating. It seems like each type of text editor interface has its own module. Right here we're looking at Michelson in Emacs mode, which Emacs mode sounds like the most terrifying transformer or Battlezoid from Power Rangers that I could think of. It has them also for Visual Basic and Manifest. That's neat. Some test Python in here. Let's see. Snapshot the protocols with that, so that's pretty nifty. Yeah, it seems like you're kind of standard stuff. You have your Rust toolchain here. Of course, only has one line, which is to let it know what fucking version of Rust it's using, because otherwise Rust will wet itself. This is the actual shell that wraps everything together. That was that bit of shell code that we saw a bit of, so that's pretty neat. Yeah, it seems like, and the package, the obligatory JSON package. So yeah, this is pretty well put together, and it seems to be updated. Like most of the core modules, especially all the stuff I could see around security, such as the formatting and the source and everything, updated quite frequently. And of course, there's a bunch of things like just like general web stuff that just hasn't been updated in a while because there's no real rush to do that. So that's neat. But as we mentioned before, if I still have it up here, because I should have, in addition to having their own GitHub, they also have their own GitLab. So if you fucking hate GitHub, and with the whole Microsoft thing and everything, and just some of the other stuff they've done, and you're more of a GitLab stands, because I couldn't find a GitP about this, because otherwise we'd have to host it ourselves. I'm going to post a link here. There's the actual GitLab that you can go take a look at. It has basically all the same stuff. And if we do a comparison here, it seems like everything... It seems like the GitLab is updated a little bit more sooner than the GitHub, but otherwise, like it's like a day or so gap, a couple hours a day or so gap. It seems like both are updated pretty frequently, so that's good to know here. So actually, GitLab here is a little bit more about the core chain itself here. So let's see. That's the thing with Oztez. That's the implementation of the blockchain itself. That's the node client Baker endorse accuser. So that's its bullshit checking system and the governance and all the other tools wrapped up in one sort of thing. So that's just good to know, because that wasn't in the GitHub section there. All right, so let's see. We're gonna go back. And before we do, let's just quickly look at all the other things. So if you're not running Michelson, what can you run this stuff on? Well, here's some of the alternatives that they look. First of all, there's a whole smart contract academy with a future spaceship thing that, I'll put it this way, I don't think we're going to get into it today. Oh God, that's what Lingo is. I forgot. It's that weird smart contract port of Pascal. I don't want to be thinking about Pascal, both the philosopher or the code. It's like bringing up Delphi or Dark Basic or something. It's like, dear Lord, it's like that scene from The Grinch where he's the Jim Carrey movie when he sees his foster parents and he's just like, you two are still living? That's the, ooh. And then they have Camel and JavaScript. So we're not going to look into this today. I will say if we do a follow-up episode of Tezos, we'll definitely look into this as its own episode, because this seems like a fun interactive thing to do. This is the Smart Pi I was talking about. I'm going to put the URL into the chat there. So as you can see, if you know how to read Pi, first of all, dark mode. There we go. There, good. My eyes aren't bleeding. Everything should be dark mode by default. I'm going to be that curmudgeon. So they have an online editor and all the stuff, documentation. So as you can see here, if you know how to read Python, this is very much that. And I actually like that they put the Python, the SmartPy code next to the Michelson code, so you can kind of see the similarity here. So it seems like Michelson is more of like a C programming language arrangement, or I would say more a C++ because of the way it's doing its sort of modular bracket system. This is very much Python, where you import and then declare the classes and then do the different scenario and stored values. So that's neat there. And you can copy both of them instantly and try to do all of that. So that's the SmartPy. So that's one alternative you can use. Another here is dark mode. There we go. And I didn't know they had a GitHub for this. Dear God, I would have forked that too. Maybe later. Do they have one for SmartPy? They have a GitLab for SmartPy and a Telegram, but not GitHub. So, but yeah, the other alternative one, Archetype, has a I can't speak, GitHub. So this is another installed under npm. I'm going to be taking so much ibuprofen after this, just because of, like in addition to this with my day, it's just, and I can just see already here with the example code, this looks like Swift. I don't like to be reminded of Swift. Let me know in the comment section, whether it's the sidebar or whatever, if you would like to do an episode where we look at all these contracting languages and watch me go crazy. But something that did catch my eye here is the command line interface. There is a whole command line interface under man of the different Tezos binaries. That's fascinating. So again, we're not going to do this today, but maybe that will be the follow-up episode. If we do a Tezos follow-up episode, we'll do the whole Tezos Academy, and then you get to watch me absolutely lose my freaking mind. I don't know why I self-censored there, but you get to watch me lose my mind trying to do the actual command line interface for actually doing the smart contracting. This just looks hilariously like fun in the way that you'll all be entertained either way. So I think the way we're going to end this episode is I'm going to see if we can attempt to connect to a testnet and not tank the computer. Before I do that, I do want to note two other things, as I've been saying. Once again, this episode, whether you're watching it pre-recorded, and especially if you're watching it live, we are trying to raise money for the National Abortion Federation, which, to explain, I know it has that big spooky word abortion in it, but hey, one, the terrible SCOTUS ruling screwed over a bunch of people with uteruses, including a lot of hackers and friends of hackers and spouses of hackers and people who hunt hackers. It's just been ugh. And in the United States, I might add. And again, because the United States unfortunately leads with a lot of stuff. We shouldn't, but we do. That means it also is probably going to spread to other countries as well, and that's just not fun. So even if you're living in another country, watch out. They might just be like, America has a good idea. We're going to go off the cliff with them. So just beware of that. And what a lot of people don't realize about the Roe v. Wade SCOTUS ruling as of recent is that there was actually a base privacy, particularly with digital privacy. I'm not talking about period trackers, like an actual thing that I've gone into in the past. I'm not going to do it now, but you can go look it up, where no matter what type of an American citizen you are, no matter what your physical background is, or your mental background is, or whatever, your ethnicity, your creed, sex, gender, whatever, you are now getting more spied on by the Patriot Act than the already ridiculously leeway that the Patriot Act and the NSA and stuff already have. So even if you think, well, I don't have a uterus, this doesn't concern me, yes, it still does concern you. In fact, it concerns you a lot. So what I love about the National Abortion Federation is that they cover all of that. It's not just uteruses or abortion. They cover all sorts of contraceptive and sexual education and rights. But what they've been doing recently, because SCOTUS screwed up everything, because, hey, United States government, fun, hackers have been warning about this even before Mitnick, it's like kind of like the EFF. Not the EFF, I'm just using them as a comparison, where just like the EFF, they have a legal team people, some legal eagles going after this, trying to get your privacy back and, not have people with uteruses being treated worse than that goddamn show that is popular and now is our reality. What's that show called again? I should know this. Sarah gets her. It's just a nightmare. But they're focusing legally as well as all of the local protests and stuff that you've seen nationwide, even around the world. They're also doing that too. So they're covering it on both fronts. And there are multiple different ways if you're interested, especially to help us out with this, to donate. I put the link in the to donate through Tiltify. Alone Tiltify is a reputable source. That way we don't touch the money. They work with charities. You donate directly to them through, I think it's like a secure PayPal, but you don't need a PayPal account in order to donate. Any of the stuff that we raise currently, and by the November 1st, which is our cutoff limit that we raise by then, we that all goes to them. Even if we don't make the arbitrary goal we set, that all goes to the charity. So that's one way. So now that you all know that, if you want to click on the link and even donate $1 or $5, even if you're watching this pre-recorded, we're not streaming, you can still go do that. I've been trying to get back into, unfortunately I skipped this episode, but there's a lot of people who follow us in between streams. I'm going to start with our next live stream, whenever that is, to list who followed us between gaps in our live stream. So we're going to start doing that again. And it's going to be the same thing when we donate stuff as well. But you can either click that link, you can scan that QR code before we're going to be done in the next 3 to 5 minutes, provided that the testnet does not implode ourselves or takes forever. And if you are on Twitch, like with a lot of stuff on Twitch, you can scroll down. There's a little widget that will let you donate directly without leaving this lovely view of my lovely face and my crazy hair. I'm going to tilt the camera down a little bit so you can see kind of a bit more that it's a polka dot shirt that I got at the awesome Polka Dot Dakota conference earlier this year. So again, we're not going to be doing, unfortunately, the command line interface. There's, again, it's like the Avalanche episode. I realized there's just so many more future episodes I could do with just subtopics of this. What I'm going to focus on instead is we're going to go to the dev portal here, and I want to learn. We're not going to do our own local network. I want to see if we can connect to the testnet. I want to connect to the testnet. We might have to dig around a little bit if I can't find it, because I'm literally that based right now. Not high. Just want to warn, I'm not intoxicated or anything on this. It's been a rough day. So there's one brain cell poking another brain cell that's sick, being like, come on, do something. That's what's going on with me. Which, believe it or not, is not me most of the time, but like the type of work I did today, I earned being in the Hacker Void doing the live stream here. Let's see, because there's not a search where I could. Oh, I know where we could probably find it, because I'm dumb. We can find it at the dev portal, although that could be an option there. We can find this at the. Where are you? I have to click around a bit because I can't remember where I put it. Yes, the Open Tezos. So let's see here. Blockchain Basics, Smart Contracts, deploy a node. Might do that. If I can't find the testnet, we'll attempt to deploy a node and see how bad or not well that goes. Let's see here. They do have a search, so I'm going to just type in testnet. Switch trigger node. Download and deploy node. Okay, so let's go into deploy a node and see if there's a node. Installation and setup. Okay, so see, this is why I didn't want to. I'm not going to deploy a node, because we're just going to look at this for a second. This is a competent machine, but because we're live streaming, a lot of this stuff, you basically have it, and that's kind of how the machine's going to run. So that's why we're not deploying it. When I eventually get a better machine that's like 5 times better than this, hopefully early next year, if not sooner, I will be able to do more things like that in the future. I will say, just by looking at it, it seems the installation's nice and simple. Like, once it seems you fork everything over, it's just an install of the I/O, and then you just config run it with just this one long line here that goes to a specific folder. And I like that they also explain what the different command lines mean. So you're not just blindly copy pasting or typing code. You actually get to see what it is, and they also have a Docker version because, of course, and then some of the commands that you would need. So I might have to quickly do, because we're going to have like 2 or 3 more minutes left. Ooh, Zcash parameters. That's interesting. So they're probably using some form of the snark system that you can optionally do for your node. So that's nice to know. I might have to use a general, oh, maybe it's under here. I might have to do a general search here. Main network and a test network. So test network. Okay, so that was on that GhostNet. Network configuration. I just wanted to see if we could connect to it, like independently. So let's see, GhostNet. On. I have to install it. Okay. Fortunately, I didn't know about the dependencies for this. Okay. We're going to initially start this, and if it takes longer than like 3 minutes, I'm just going to end the episode there. So first, first of all, let's turn on command line interface mode, because I know I have that in here. So let's see, it should be up here. There we go. I'm gonna have to resize it. that is way too small. Okay, that's what she said. So let's go in. It's a lot bigger, and better. There we go. I'm actually gonna put the browser back on just for a little bit of like background stuff here. All right, so let's cross our fingers on this. So we are using a subsystem of Ubuntu here. So let's see. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to have to let us know what repos it's updating here. Okay, so that was painless so far. Now we have a bunch of hilarious commands to do. So we're going to do the update, but we're going to do it with the repo that we just added. Put in the super secret password here. Now, hopefully, again, because I already did an update and upgrade on here, it will hopefully not hog too much system resources. Because sometimes that will happen. Like I could literally be running on like a direct Google fiber line, like in Google's headquarters, and because of the nature of Ubuntu and its bloat, which we had a hilarious conversation about recently on our social media, sometimes the network might dip. But that would seem to be like a painless update there. So now we're going to put in the rest of the stuff here. So we're going to install each individual thing. So now we're going to do the client. And we also should have enough space for this. All right, let's see how fast this goes. I know this is a really exciting part, right? It's going through an archive of Ubuntu from the repo that we just mandated to update here. Actually, let me check something here. Properties. Cursor size. Just trying to see if I remember the values and stuff of how to. Here we go. I think. No, that's the buffer size. Let's try this. I think that's a lot better. Let's see if we can go one size up. I'm just trying to see if I can make things slightly bigger. Oh no. Let's go back a bit. Let's go back a bit. All right, that seems to be the sweet spot for the current window. Good. All right, so that was actually decently fast. So let's do the rest of them. So I believe the last one we got was the client. Yes, so now we're going to do the node. And this is the one that I'm hoping will not take forever. It shouldn't take forever. and then we're going to do the baker, aka the proof of stake stuff, the parameters for that, and then its accuser, which is its sort of like fact check numbing system there on the consensus. Wow, considering how fast the percentages are going, I'm actually quite... This is making me nervous because anytime something goes well with any form of code or command line, I'm like, oh wow. Remember the Avalanche episode a couple of months ago where I was like, wow, everything's going well. Something's going to go horribly wrong, and then it didn't. And the funny thing is, what actually went wrong was the successor episode, which I'm going to hopefully go back to before the end of the year, where, interesting, installation process. Okay, we're going to keep going, but I'll circle back to that error if something doesn't work. Let's put it that way. But like I was saying before, we were doing some actual generating smart contract thing, and I forgot to put a semicolon because of course I did. Let's just do everything else because we're just going to see how far this goes, since things seem to be going mostly smoothly and pretty fast here. Cathma is the latest one here, so we're going to install that baker. So as that's going, so this is us installing the actual, like, basically the user privileges in order to do its proof of staking method, which they call baking, or used to be called liquid proof of stake. It seems this is per operation. It's going to almost be done. Let's see. We're getting all sorts of errors. Yay! Actually, you know what? I'm going to try an alternative thing, and then we're going to do a quick update and see if that changes anything. So I'm going to do... So we're going to do repo, and then we're going to update the PPA here. All right, and then we're going to do another update here. And then we're going to go back to the node real quick, see if that changes any of the errors, because basically the previous one, that's the main repo, but they also have an RC repo just in case the main repo is having some problems, probably with things like subsystems or Docker and things like that. So, and since we are using a subsystem, I'm just going to see if that works. Let's go back to node and see if anything changed here with any of the errors. This is going to take about a minute. If not, then we went as far as we could. And we'll call that a day here, because at least we got to do some command line stuff. Because yes, I do miss the days where we just, like, half the episode was command line stuff, and you know, we were like doing balls deep into like different programming languages we're learning. Again, that's why I definitely think there's definitely going to be a couple of follow-up episodes I'd love to do with Tezos, and using Tezos as an excuse to talk about all the different, because we talked about Solidity multiple times, but we can include Solidity with the smart contract language. And so all right, so I'm gonna tell everyone what the error is, and I could fix it, but that would literally be another 2 hours of streaming, and I'm not doing that. I am not doing that at all, just to connect to a test net. So basically, full disclosure, I did not originally configure this machine. This was done by a couple of volunteers of ours, and of course, as you know, anytime volunteers do things for other volunteers in DCG 201 or any other hacker organization, that usually does not go well. And I'll put it this way. I use systemd. I know of all the jokes with systemd, and there's a bunch of flaws with it that I completely agree with. A lot of tech stuff I'm not a blind fanboy of. Even if I like something, like, again, doing a show about cryptocurrency and blockchain tech, half the time I'm just bitching about the snake oil stuff in the community and dumb errors in programming stuff. So, you know, to me, if you love something, you have to be very realistic about it. And basically, the subsystem for Ubuntu that was set up by a different volunteer for our uses on this machine did not boot with systemd in the init system. So it can't operate because it needs certain systemd functions or systemd functions in order to properly install for Tezos, at least with this method. Let me just quickly check to see on one of the repositories to see if there might be they might have come up with a simpler thing than what was listed there. Just to see if there's any sort of discrepancies or difference here. Actually, what we could do is go all the way back to, let's see here, the Get Started page. I give myself like 2 more minutes on this and be done with everything. So that's the master. Oh, okay, I get you. All right, so let's go back to, let's find that dev portal again. I lagged. There we go. Let's go back. Let me see if they have an alternative instruction on how to install this that I might not be thinking about. Let's actually go back to modules. Okay, so unfortunately, as far as I know, what we saw there was the only way to install Tezos. So in the future, probably not this year, but in the future, I will either have a new machine or I will sit down and I will reconfigure all of this so it does boot with systemd. I don't know why I didn't or had that as the option on boot. And we will go through this and actually connect to the test network. But we got as far as we could, so I'm mostly happy with that. So I'm going to end the episode here. We're going to do a summary. Oh, hi there, Neon Resin. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, you've been sitting on. Yeah, the thing is, at least it seems like you've seen most of the episodes. So that was neat. I guess you were, because you're usually one of the lurkers here. So I'm happy you were lurking and learning over here. But we're actually going to be wrapping up the episode now because we tried to install Tezos in order to do the Tezos in order to do the test network, but that's not working. Believe it or not, because everything was running smoothly with the installs on their end, it seems like it's concise code, so no issues on their end with our stream, upload speeds, download speeds. It was on our end with literally because we're hackers, so of course we can't properly Linux. It's like Zibbit, yo dog, I heard you use Linux and Unix, so we're going to Linux on your Unix so you can Unix while you Linux. So that's still kind of an issue. But let's do a quick summary of the stuff that we did learn today. So we took a look at Tezos. It purported that is not only modular, but its utmostness is that it is institutional grade security. And while I will not say it's institutionally great, meaning it's not like the US military is going to use this or something, I can see between looking at the white paper, some of the GitHub and GitLab code of how it's constructed, and the two language platforms that uses OCaml and Michelson, and also the way its government system is uses, which both does modularization. Oh, you got back home from work. I hope your workday was better than mine. That's why I was partly late again while streaming. Yay! But between those two, as well as other factors, I can see how that they are more secure than the average chain. But know of how, like, unlike most blockchain stuff, even today, where people just think that, oh, because it says crypto and cryptocurrency, that means it's automatically secure, or everyone just endlessly forks Z-Snarks, but for some reason doesn't look into Mimblewimble. I know that there used to be an exploit on Mimblewimble, but that community was pretty good, so I don't know why no one copies their homework and tries to modify it. But anyhow, that they're actually building stuff both in terms of consensus, how it's actually developed the different layers between the chain and the user interface of actual secure practices. Now, of course, like any other security thing, is ultimately up to the users And it's also up to the people governing and contributing to the project. And there seems to be a lot of stuff going on. Not much. They're still working on stuff getting off the ground, because the last thing I'm going to cover, the thing I was kind of holding back on, is that what's probably tainted development of this project was that a couple of years ago, the original creators, Arthur and Kathleen Brittman, for Tezos, they kind of started this whole thing. They helped write the white paper and stuff. There was a dispute between the people making the project of who actually contributed the most of the project, and thus who thus who technically owned it. And as you kind of heard with the white paper, the whiteboard video we watched, there was an ugly, ugly legal battle between all the different partners, between the mathematician that created and the business person that ran it and some of the contributors. And that whole thing early on, from my understanding, especially because of how promising, like legit proof promising this project was, I think that still echoes throughout Tezos, and it scared people away, and that's one of the reasons, probably the main reason, why you don't really see people doubting it, just because they had a big court case scandal between all the people running it. And again, that shows, and again, the fact that they're looking through security in their governance is a good sign, but that a lot of times when we see stuff pwned or compromised, look at the Uber hack, for example. I hate to use non-blockchain use for this, but a lot of people pointed out that the way the Uber hack, like what was so shocking about it, was an 18-year-old did it. I'm not shocked, because I grew up in the 90s and parts of the early 80s. A lot of hackers were mostly kids back then. It was more common to get pwned by like a 12-year-old or a 14-year-old. But the real shocking part for anyone that knew security part, well, not shocking, we weren't surprised, but it's like frustrating that this is common, is that the Uber hacker didn't like figure out some sort of crazy CVE the actual coding part of the hack was they figured out, I don't know how they did it, but they figured out how to get into the Slack channel that the employees of Uber are using, and that was only part of it. The main hack was when he got in, he convinced everyone else that he was yet another developer at Uber, and that he got locked out, and to give him the keys at the front door, and they gave him the keys. And this is what I mean about this, where they could put in as many secure stuff in there between the different language systems and the protocol and the application layers, even the governance platform. But if the foundation itself, if the people who make it do a bad look on it, that's automatically going to make people's security concerned. It's like the same thing that we covered 2 years ago when we talked about Brave, was that yes, they corrected their mistakes, but they only corrected it because of a huge outpouring of peer pressure, particularly against their, the engineers. I think at Brave are great, but the people doing the business end, the CEO, forget it. Ex-Mozilla, what can you expect? But what I'm getting at here is that once you start chipping away or breaking at trust at any level, whether it's legally, politically, policy-wise, odd bits of code, your reactions to bad things happening to your development platform, things like that, it's almost near impossible to recover from it. It's near impossible, to use a gamer term, no man's sky it. And so seeing that court case, you can see how even with all the support that the community does for Tezos, because it is a very interesting project, I think that just echoes through everything, and that's why it's having a hard time getting off the ground. So once again, it's social semantics, not anything to do with the code itself. That's that from my understanding. So that was a look at Tezos. We are definitely, this has brought up topics between the different smart contracting systems, command line interface, a whole interactive game, the fact that we didn't launch the test network. We are definitely revisiting this in the future. So I'm just happy that I did sideline the whole Ethereum merger that everyone and their moms covered. You can just type in that in any sort of search engine or YouTube or video platform, live stream, and everyone's covering it. I'm happy that I got to cover something that I didn't see a lot of people cover, especially on the security and code aspect of it. So even though we didn't really get that far in terms of the test nets, that's really cool. Anyhow, that was it for Crypto Barons, looking at Tezos and stuff. I'm going to talk about the next episode. So normally I would say, hey, we normally stream Crypto Barons every second to fourth Saturday of the month, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. However, as you probably have noticed with the upcoming meeting and stuff that we're going to post news about either later today or tomorrow, my scheduling and everyone else's scheduling has been gone insane for good stuff, positive stuff, but it's all over the place. So I cannot reliably I can't reliably until November. I want to resolve this in the next week or two, but until November, do a hard confirm of anything of like, yes, we are doing this at this place, at this date, at this time. I can't do that. So what I will say is that if you do follow us here online, as you do under Twitch, Live, YouTube, whatever platform we use for streaming that you like to watch, and or you follow our social media, and I'll post those links again in a moment. That's your best way of getting alerts and getting updates, including things like our Medium group and stuff like that, of when we actually go on air and stuff. So I'm just putting that out there. I will say, this is a hard confirm, that October, particularly for Crypto Barons, all the shows are going to be, besides the Hacktoberfest thing we're trying to do, wink wink, is all going to be spooky Halloween themed. Once again, we're going back to 2020 and doing all the spooky Halloween stuff. And I have a couple of different topics. I have stuff involving the dead, like the literal dead. I have stuff involving human blood. I have creepy dark web hacks that no mortal should ever look at. And a bunch of other things. Maybe some news will pop up that we'll also cover. But I will say that whenever we do stream the next two episodes, Crypto Barons, in October, it should be the second, third Friday of October at second and fourth Saturday of October at 8 p.m. It should be, but stay tuned. They will be spooky Halloween, non-pumpkin spice themed, so that's cool. Same thing for Master of Unlocking and any of the other stuff that we do. I'm trying to get some of the other programs set up, but we'll see about those. So that was it for the episode. I can't wait to live stream Crypto Barons again, especially for the spooky stuff. I think people are going to be really excited to see what that is. Once again, this is the ending spiel. If you do want to donate, even if we're not live streaming right now, there's the link once again to our Tiltify. You can donate $1 or $5 or go ham, donate $20, $100 towards the National Abortion Federation. This is your last time to scan the QR code or to look at the Tiltify widget. But you can do this anytime. We're going to start shouting out people in between streams because a lot of people follow and donate in between the streams instead of doing it live for whatever reason. I kind of miss cheering people on doing it live for the past 2 months. If you want to check more of us out, again, we're still working on the website stuff. I'm really hoping to resolve that at some point before October 1st. But you can go to our Medium blog instead. The Medium blog also links to our more text-friendly and Tor-friendly Right As blog. If you do want to chat with us, a little bit of a ghost town as we set up our new IRC and sessions, but we do have a Discord. You can go that in the link there. And we also, again, have a ton of social media. You can more commonly follow us on our Twitter at DEFCON201NJ, which is part of our old name, or Instagram at DEFCON201, but we're on all sorts of things. Again, we have our own GitHub. We're on Minds.com. We're on Mastodon under hostducks.social. I just posted a link tree that has all the master links to every single one of those. So no matter if you're an open source fanatic, a crypto hacker, a general hacker, a privacy advocate, developer, whatever, you have options to watch our streams. You have options to follow us that support your best means and digital ethical practices. Awesome. So we're going to end the show now. We're going to play some outro music. If you are on Twitch, we are going to spend the next minute or two rating someone else's stream. Might be cryptocurrency related, might be a developer thing, so it might be coding, might be something absolutely crazy, might be breaking news. We don't know. If you're on Twitch, stay tuned for that and say hi to whoever we raid, because we're not going to be able to host starting next month because Twitch. And what was I going to get to with that? Yeah, and just enjoy the outro music. Thank you for watching. This is Sidepocket for Crypto Barons and DCG 201. Hack the planet. Dirty Jersey represents, and remember, more of a remembrance for me. I'm honestly debating of setting any of the live streams that we normally do at 8 to do at 9 p.m. Not just, this has been going on for a couple of months, but again, my schedule's been going crazy, and like I always think it's always like, oh my God, we have everything set up 10 minutes, and then like OBS decides to update, or my left foot falls off, and so I'm actually debating of moving them like to like 9 p.m. or something, just so that there's some padding, although I'm worried about like moving it and it keeps going out of control no matter how I moved it. That's going to be something I have to look into. That's my bad. Peace, everyone. Enjoy the music and say hi to whoever we raid. See you all next time. Hack the planet.